fraction of a second that makes all the difference in those games. Rutledge Wood explains.
The Olympic Zone, brought to you by Omega, official timekeeper of the Olympic Games.
At these Olympic Games, when just a fraction of a second comes between standing on the podium, out touches by 6/100ths of a second. Or not, timing is everything. But with athletes breaking records and races getting closer, it's a time for the call. It's up to technology to keep up. Omega creates custom-made equipment for each of the 28 sports at the Olympics. I met up with the CEO to take me through the ever-evolving timing tool. What was timing like when Omega first got involved in the Olympics in 1932? We had one watchmaker that was sent along with 30 stopwatches over to us.
Want some chai? Here.
A lot of things have changed. Two of those changes were monitors in the pool that count as swimmers'
What's clean?
and starting blocks that light up to display first, second, and third place. There's also the digital touchpad, which swimmers tap to conclude their races. It takes less than 100 milliseconds to share the result of the athlete's
I know more. Share your ice cream.
New tech doesn't
We'll
just
get it.
in the pool.
Mom, I'm getting the ice cream. Get a spoon also.
Okay.
For track and field.
I'll do what you say, Queen.
With the starting blocks, where pressure sensors can signal a false start. The blocks also have loudspeakers, so each runner can hear the starting pistol at exactly the same time, no matter which block they go. As someone who can't resist the new tech tool, I had to check out the starting equipment themselves. I mean, how like this week. Arctic, tush in the air. That's so loud. That was my start. Pretty good. On my second try, I was
I got the ice
actually
cream.
able to get
Queen.
off the
We only need one spoon, so we'll put one spoon back.
We could use for both.
Here, the finish line is back.
We're not gonna dirty two spoons, we'll put one spoon back.
Per second.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Tap the fire by its toes. Easy, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
All be paying even more attention to the timing of tonight, especially during the finals on the track.
I got the spoons, Queen.
Well, the top is peanut butter. So the peanut butter flavored ice cream. You know I don't like peanut butter. Why do you make me eat peanut butter cups? Why won't you eat one?
I'm gonna do great, yeah.
Would you eat them when they're smaller?
Producing the first ever BMW 2 seconds.
You don't want any more?
Cool.
You only have some.
Ice cream, Jada.
I don't like it. It's cold. I only like a lot.
You only have to guess when it will turn up.
I wish we had another swing.
We should fit it into your